My name is Barbara Olson Barile. People know me as Sami, and I am very happily retired. I was born in Northern Illinois, the daughter of a Methodist minister. My mom had gone to a community college and taught in a one-room schoolhouse before they were married. We moved around Northern Illinois quite a bit as I was a child, but they were very inspiring people. My mom went back to college after 20-some years and graduated summa cum laude as a respiratory therapist. My father was, as I said, was a Methodist minister. He grew up on the south side of Chicago in a Swedish area of Chicago, as his parents were Swedish. Graduated from Illinois Wesleyan University, where I later went, and worked with the Methodist Church in a number of different churches, and eventually became a district superintendent of the Northern Illinois Conference of the Methodist Church. Well, I do have two sisters. I can remember as a family camping, tent camping in the northern peninsula of Michigan. I can remember bicycling around town. I can remember shooting bows and arrows in the backyard and playing basketball with the neighbor kids. Just all sorts of typical childhood memories of the 50s, really, growing up with my sisters. I was not born in Morristown. I was born in Freeport, Illinois, which is where the hospital was, but my parents lived in a small farming community away from there at the time. After moving around from community to community throughout the years, we finally circled back and lived in Freeport, Illinois, and I graduated from Freeport Senior High School. After a number of years of moving around Northern Illinois, we came full circle back to Freeport, where I graduated from Freeport Senior High School. I then went on to Illinois Wesleyan University in Bloomington, Illinois, which was my father's alma mater and also that of my uncle. My time at Illinois Wesleyan, I majored in English with related fields in history and drama, and I had the wonderful opportunity through an exchange program that Wesleyan had with a number of other universities to go to Drew University in New Jersey, specifically to study at the United Nations, where I wrote my term paper, my thesis paper, on apartheid in South Africa. In my retired life, I putter around the house. I like to garden. I have a flower garden. I'm not good with vegetables. I do have an herb garden with a tomato plant that thinks it is in the show The Little Shop of Horrors. It's just producing bouquets of cherry tomatoes. I like to cook, I like to read, I like to do needlework, that sort of thing. So it seems like I went from meeting to meeting. I had 3 ring binders for each different committee that I was working with or project I was working on. There were times when I would come into the office, drop one off, pick up another, and head out to the door to something else. I was very focused on a couple of things during my term of office. One was the revitalization of our downtown. And so I often would just walk the block downtown to have lunch or to see how things were improving. And the other, of course, was developing, and it's a longer story than this question will allow, developing a task force on diversity to really address the wonderful diversity in our community. There are a couple of different things. Before I was mayor, I was the director of the Keep America Beautiful affiliate here in Morristown and Hamblin County. And during that time, we pulled together a task force made up of both city and county government officials, representatives of business and industry, and the public at large, and put together what became the nation's first collection, countywide curbside collection of recyclables in a then rural community, the first in the nation. That was very rewarding to see happen. That still is going on today, and it kicked off in 1992. As far as the the accomplishments while I was mayor, one of which was the building of the new terminal out at our airport, which brought our terminal into the 21st century. We had been in a 1950s era building for years. The development downtown has been astounding. From an almost deserted downtown in 2007 when I took office to what you see today, of wide diversity of businesses, of people downtown, the gorgeous flower baskets that are hanging down, but there's hardly an empty building down there anymore. That's very exciting. And then of course the work to impress upon our community that diversity is a good thing. The task force did not begin as the very earliest part of my term in office. About a year after I became mayor, a couple women came into the office and said, the city needs to hold a fiesta for the Latino population. This was early in the stages when our Latino or Hispanic population was growing, and there had been demonstrations on the courthouse lawn against the people coming in, etc. So I thought about this very seriously, and then I said, no, the city is not going to hold a festival for just the Hispanic population. It's going to hold a festival to bring the whole community together. So I pulled together a group of people who helped do just that, put on festivals and events that ranged from Olympic Day, where we brought Olympic athletes into the community and demonstrated up to maybe 20 different types of athletic events, to celebrations of culture, where we had festivals at one of our parks in town, really showing all sorts of diversity in the community, but we brought in different nationalities, a Chinese lion dance, the old man Mexican dance, the Kuumba Watoto dancers from Knoxville, a group of Jewish dancers from Chattanooga, just a diverse group of people to celebrate cultures that were in the community. That then, when that was finished, somebody on the task force said, okay, what are we now? And I said, you're the mayor's task force on diversity. And that is where the task force began. That's a hard one. If I could have coffee with any historical figure, I honestly don't think I would choose a historical figure. I think I would choose my grandparents, my paternal grandparents, who they were second generation in the United States from Sweden. And I've always wondered more about Sweden, why their family left, how they managed to settle first in Indiana and then in Chicago, and what it was like being newcomers to a country. My favorite color scheme, I guess, would be the teals, blues, and purples. And what that would say about me, I think, would be I like teals, blues, and purples. My favorite professional or college sports teams. I really am not into sports that much, but I would have to say at this moment in time, my favorite sport team is all the people participating in Team USA in the Paris Olympics. To visit. My favorite place to visit is anywhere with friends and family, because where there are friends and family, there's laughter, there's fun, there's love. Where would I like to visit? Oh, I've always wanted to go to Ireland for some reason, but I don't think I'll ever make it there. But just again, anywhere that I can be with friends and family. My husband, we met in church in Barrington, Illinois, when I was going to be a senior in college, and he had just gotten his MBA from the University of Wisconsin in Madison. We married in June of 1967. I wanted my father to be my daddy that day, so he did not marry us. The chaplain at Illinois Wesleyan married us. I had been his secretary my whole time there. Pete left me after about 8 weeks or so of marriage, courtesy of the U.S. Army, to spend 13 months in Korea. He grew up in a family of chair makers. His father owned a chair manufacturing company in Chicago, which by the time he got back from Korea was bought out by another company, which eventually led us to Morristown, Tennessee, where Shelby Williams Industry was headquartered. Shelby was bought out in a hostile takeover at the end of 1999, and a few years later, my husband started his own chair manufacturing company here in Morristown, and currently employs about 70 people, has 2 factories, and they make chairs for the hospitality industry, hotels, restaurants, for senior living facilities, nursing homes. They make recliners for fire halls. And then in his spare time, he has a hobby of building rock walls and building buildings around our property, and just has a good time doing it. When I think about Morristown, I think about the fact, one of the most positive things about Morristown is the fact that there are so many people reaching out in need, but there are just as many people reaching out to help and to give. And I think that's such a wonderful thing about this community. The most favorite thing about Morristown is that willingness to help. We absolutely are in the volunteer state. The least favorite thing is the lack of pride that I see in people. For example, when someone says, what is there going on in Morristown today or this weekend? People will say, oh, there's never anything going on here in Morristown. We've got so much going on. It's such a positive, busy community. We can help unify people in the Morristown community by making sure, and it's education, quite honestly, and things like that we did as the Mayor's Task Force, now Morristown's Task Force, is by holding more events that show the positive aspects of different parts of our community. I'm holding a necklace which I wore today, but I didn't want it to make noise with the microphone. There are 25 separate charms on this necklace. No 2 are alike. To me, that kind of represents our community. There are so many different aspects of our community, but they work together. These work together to make a beautiful necklace. The aspects of our community work together to make a great community. Diversity, as I said, is a good, positive thing. If we didn't have diversity, we'd all look alike, we'd all think alike, we'd all eat the same breakfast cereal, live in the houses that looked just the same, we'd drive the same model of cars, and if they had rubber ducks on the dashboard, they'd all be the same color, wearing the same cute little hats. We'd have one kind of industry in our community. Instead, we have a diverse type of industry. We have industries that make components for other industries that are not here in Morristown. We have a few industries that make finished products that when they leave the factory doors, like chairs, like toothpaste, like Rich's cakes, they're ready to be used as they are. Diversity is a good thing, and we need to stress that as often as we can. If I would incorporate anything more in this conversation, it would be, we grew up singing, Jesus loves the little children of the world, all the little children of the world. Let's keep that in mind. We are all children of this world. We are all neighbors. We all need to coexist, whether it's religion, whether it's attending public schools or private schools. We live in a community, and community includes the word unity. We are family.